So why is it that everything's about guns, taking guns? Guns are power. That's the way it is. Look at the Bundy Ranch incident in Nevada. Regardless of what you saw as right or wrong there, when law enforcement went to do something that a lot of people felt was unjustified, they showed up with guns, and it was quelled and nothing happened. The government left, and then through trials they found out that the government was wrong. I read an article today about you know, the drug cartel. There's the guy El Chapo. He's like the head of a big cartel. I don't follow a lot on that stuff, but you know, he's been, I think, sentenced to life in prison now. So his son, I don't know what his name is, was captured by the Mexican military in a building in the town of Sinaloa, Mexico. And the cartel got so angry they started blowing up cars and buses, and then surrounded the house and outgunned the military. So the president of the country said, release him, and released the head of the cartel, the newest head of the cartel. Could you imagine that happening here? You know, the ramifications of that to me are so incredibly interesting. Could you imagine the president of the United States catching a major criminal and using the United States military to capture them, and then saying, hey, you know what, you're outgunned, you're outnumbered, give him back? Could you imagine that? I can't even imagine that. Now, I don't know anything about Mexico and these drug cartels that make billions of dollars, maybe trillions of dollars. What I do know is what I read in the paper or what I see on the news, and of course I don't trust any of that anymore. You know, why is that going on and on? Now, when I look at that from a law enforcement perspective, I'm thinking, you know, you take the military, law enforcement, and if people want to shoot it out, you could kill bad guys and win. But maybe it's because a lot of stuff we don't know, like the fact that drug cartels make so much money that, you know, if you see some of the things that are reported about it, they make so much money that when they were burying the money, they just ran out of places to bury it. So you know what they started doing? They started giving the money back to the people. Well, imagine living in a country, if this is true, but this seems to make sense to me. Imagine living in a country controlled by a government that wasn't really helping people, and then a drug cartel making a fortune, potentially because the government may be corrupt, making money off it as well, or maybe more governments around the country making money off of it because it's so productive. And then the people getting money from the cartel, wouldn't they probably support the cartel over the government? If suddenly the cartel was giving away millions of dollars and people that were dirt poor could live in a home, have something to eat, who would you choose to follow if that was the truth? What else I think is interesting is whatever is written now, and you always have to question anything that's written, is don't you think it's kind of interesting, regardless of who is good or bad? Let's go off the idea that the Mexican military and police are completely uncorruptible and are on the good side. Then it's terrible that the bad side, if the cartel is the bad side, which of course we're taught that way, can control that country. But you know, the more time I put thought into it, I don't even see how that's possible. That couldn't happen here. It couldn't happen here. Unless we wanted it to. Is the cartel in control over there because actually they're not as bad as what everybody thinks? And yeah, we know selling drugs is bad and terrible. That's why, I guess unless you come to the US where pharmaceutical companies sell drugs and make trillions of dollars legally, and they're so powerful now that they control government and Congress with multi-million, maybe even billion-dollar contributions to campaigns. And now they're completely protected, just like banking institutions, completely protected. You know, you lend some money to somebody and they don't pay you, well, you might be able to get a judgment against them, but what's the point? Especially if it's a friend of yours who just can't pay you back. You'd be like, well, doggone it, I took the risk and that's it. And you let them go, because what are you going to chase somebody forever? But banks, are you kidding me? They'll chase you for a lifetime now. Did you know that? You could buy something, get a loan from a bank, and then when you lose your money, you can give it back to them. They can hold you over for the overage, and if you can never make it up, they can chase you for the rest of your life. Yeah, they can. They can keep claiming judgments on you every 10 years for the rest of your life and destroy you financially. But you can't do that. You know, that story and the idea of what's happening with the country, wow. You know, blue-collar people need to be back in control of the government, of, by, and for the people. We have millionaires in there that are making a fortune off the country, while the country is $20 trillion in debt, And nobody's doing anything about that. Nobody's concerned about that. You know, we're looking at two classes. Do you know if the middle class is broken, if the middle class just gets disseminated, which people are like, well, how would that happen? Well, when you give the low, you say low classes, right? People who don't make any money, when you give them so much in housing and money and things like that, that blue collar people barely make more working all day long. After a while, people will start going, well, wait, I want for free. That's the whole idea of taking over. That's tyranny. That's why I want to take guns. Why do you want to take guns? Because they're power. Guns are power. And that's why they're trying to make laws, misdemeanor laws. You lose your guns forever. A hate crime. You call somebody a racial slur, that's a hate crime. You can lose your guns forever if that law gets passed. Domestic violence, we always go to some drastic thing where somebody's almost killed, and that's domestic violence. But domestic violence can be your girlfriend who gets mad at you because you look at another girl or something and she slaps you. That's domestic violence. You throw a pillow at your girlfriend because you're mad at her about something. That's domestic violence. You can lose your guns forever. Why is that? Because it's about taking guns. Why did the banking industry stop funding money to anybody that was in the gun industry? That's an infringement of the Second Amendment. Did you know that? Why are people now talking about putting excise taxes on ammo and guns, which is an infringement of the Second Amendment? Because they want to make it hard to get guns. Why do they claim where you can carry a gun, what kind of gun you can have, restrict guns? Now they want to make laws where you have to lock your guns up in your house. They can control what you do with your guns in your house. They hold you responsible. If a criminal breaks into your house and takes a gun, you're responsible. But if they break into your house and take a knife and commit a crime, it's no big deal. Or if they break into your house and take the keys off the wall and jump in your car and run over 20 people, that's no big deal. But if somebody breaks into your house and takes a gun because you keep it out in the open, because if you're there, you want to be able to defend yourself, now you're in trouble. Why is that? Because it's gun control. Because without guns, there is no freedom. It's not what I'm saying. It's not what other people that like guns are saying. It's history. It's in the books. With guns, there's freedom. With guns, there's chances of overthrowing a tyrannical government. That's fact. Let's talk facts.